All right, welcome back to the next installment of Egg Week. All right, so today we're taking a look at shirred eggs. Am I sure? I'm sure that we're looking at shirred eggs. Really, really bad joke for you to get things started. But those of you who've had me before already know that that's how I roll. So today we're going to take a look at eggs that can be used not only for breakfast, but also for lunch or even a light dinner. We're going to show the versatility of eggs because they really are very versatile and also pretty inexpensive, right? Eggs are an item that are pretty cost effective. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. We got a lot of things to do, so we're going to kind of get started real quick. I do want to point out the hat that I'm wearing today. So this hat comes from a company called Extreme Culinary Outfitters. All right, this is the 3-knife look right here. You see the logo, I believe, is on this side right here. Right, if you've noticed, if you've seen the masks that I wear, are also from Extreme Culinary Outfitters. I love this company. They promote chefs. They're all about chefs. They put a lot of great content on their website, and they've got really cool t-shirts, some cool hats, and some other cool stuff that you can take a look at. So I don't get paid for this, right? This isn't like they're sponsoring, unfortunately, but extremeculinaryoutfitters.com. Check them out. All right, so we are going to do 3 different types of shirred eggs. I'm going to get started. We're going to do a little cooking. Then when the eggs are in the oven, I'm going to speak a little bit about the history, and we'll talk about variations and things that you can do. So, a lot of ingredients out on the table. Let's come down and take a look at what we got here on the table. Obviously, we've got our eggs. Okay, they're going to be the big star of the show. We see some heavy cream in here, all right, which is going to be really nice, make for a nice creamy egg. Then when we get down into here, I've got some spinach, which I'm going to cook off momentarily, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I have some parsley, which is going to go into one of the egg dishes and to finish the others, right? So we have some nice chiffonade parsley right there, okay? We have some small diced ham, some cheddar cheese, some bacon, and then we have a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and I'll talk about which ones, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do when we use them. Got some butter, right? The butter in this particular case isn't going into the actual pan when we're cooking, right? We're not cooking these on the stove, we're cooking these in the oven. In this particular case, the butter is going to be used to actually grease the pans that we're using, right? Or the ramekins. So this is a 4-ounce ramekin. We're going to use this for a 1-egg shirred egg variation, which I'm going to show you just in a minute. And then I have some other pans, which I'm going to show you as we go through, and I'll talk about them when we get to them. All right? So, first thing I want to do is I want to prep my ramekin. So I'm going to put a glove on. I have my butter, and I'm just going to take a small piece of butter right in my fingers, and I'm going to rub it on the inside. Right? We're going to grease that down so the egg doesn't stick. Get the sides, get the bottom. All right. Get that nice and prepped. Just like that. All right, if you have a couple of little clumps of butter rather, I'm sorry, that's fine, right? Mistakes are gonna happen, okay? This is live, right? This is no big production crew here. It's me and my daughter who's got my phone out, so we're having some fun. This is for you guys. Want to make sure that you guys are really getting these lessons and understanding these things that we're doing in the kitchen. Mistakes are gonna happen. That's fine, okay? We roll with it, we learn as we go. Hopefully we have a little bit of fun. All right, so I'm going to bring over this quarter sheet pan. So you see here I've got 2 different ramekins. Both are now already prepped with my butter. So in the small one, I'm going to do a 1-egg variation. In the larger, I'm going to do a 2-egg variation. All right, and I'll show you exactly how we'll serve those as well. Let's pull this over here for now. So the first one that we're going to do ham and cheddar cheese. All right, so very simply, I'm going to start off by putting my ingredients into my cup. All right, so I'm going to start with a little spoonful of ham, just to kind of coat the bottom. I might add just a touch of parsley. Kind of zoom in on that there, let them see it. A little bit of cheese. So I'm going to do cheese twice. I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom, and then I'm going to put some more on the top when we're done. Now, for the egg. So I am going to crack the egg into a bowl prior to putting it into the ramekin. And the reason for that is because I'm looking. I don't want to get any shell in there, right? We don't want to do all this work and then get that crispy, crunchy piece of shell, which is not very pleasing. All right. So I'm just going to give a quick tap. All right, we give a look. There's no shell, and now we're going to come in and we're just going to pour that right into our cup. All right, try and get that yolk as centered as possible. All right, now I'm going to come back with just a little bit of salt. A little pepper. And then a little more cheese over the top to finish it out. Just to kind of coat. And now to finish, we're going to give it 1 teaspoon of heavy cream. Now, I talked about how mistakes happen, and here's one of the first ones. I would have liked to have put this on the bottom, but that's okay. Still going to do the trick. So I'm going to pour that in there. Right, that's going to mix with the white a little bit, and it's going to make for a nice silky, creamy consistency. Just a little more. All right, and that's it. That's all that's to it in terms of the preparation. So that's our single egg. Now, I'm going to hold this on the side for right now. Now, for our double egg, our 2-egg, we're going to do this one with spinach, a little bit of Parmesan cheese. We're going to finish with the parsley. And if I wanted to, I could add a little bit of tomato in there, a little roasted tomato, like some diced roasted tomatoes, a little bit of marinara sauce, if you have a little marinara sauce left over. Just adding flavors, right? So this really is a blank canvas that you can do a lot with. So we're going to start by cooking our spinach. So I've got my saute pan. I'm going to go with a medium heat. Just want to get some heat on the bottom there. Now, as far as when we're wilting spinach, right? So we can do a lot of different things. I can go with water and just do a steamed spinach, right? Very light, very healthy. Still going to season. Always want to season a little bit salt, pepper, right? Brighten those, bring out that flavor. For this particular dish, I'm going to use a little bit of oil, right? And you always want to use a nice oil when you're cooking something like this. It's delicate. It's going to really pick up those flavors. So the oil that I use, I'm going to use it's a blend of grapeseed oil and olive oil. Really, really nice, really flavorful. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of oil in the pan. A little more than a teaspoon, not a lot. Right, as that oil starts to heat, you'll notice that it starts to move around. And now the spinach is going to cook fairly quickly. So I want to get it in the pan, season it right away. And I want to put the salt and pepper on it at the very beginning so that as it's cooking and it's breaking down and as the water is coming out of the spinach, it's going to season it really evenly. All right, but now that other thing that I just said about the water is an important part. So if you notice, I have a pan with a strainer on the side. I don't want all the water that's going to cook out of this in my egg dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the finished cooked spinach out of here and put it in there and let that water drain out first. All right, so now the oil's hot. I'm going to get that spinach into the pan. You can hear it starts to sizzle right away. A little bit of salt. Don't be afraid. Crack or two of pepper. And now with a pair of tongs. Now this is a non-stick skillet, right? Non-stick saute pan. So I have rubberized tongs. Being careful not to scratch up my pan. Just going to give it a couple of tosses, move it around a little bit. All right, and that's about it, because this is going to cook down a little more as it sits in the bowl and then even once it goes into our eggs. All right, so now I come right over to my bowl. And we're going to let that drain. It's going to drain. It's also going to cool off a little bit, which is a good thing because we don't want to put that in too hot into our eggs. All right. You can start to see there's a little bit of moisture in there already. There'll be more Just going to use the back of the tongs to kind of push out. And you can see some of that liquid falling away. All right, we don't want any of that in the dish. So we're going to let that sit there, and we'll start to get the rest of the dish ready. All right, so for this one, we're using spinach and we're using Parmesan cheese, right? If you wanted to do some other things, you wanted to use a little bit of mushroom, you could do that. You could do all kinds of things. The tomatoes, like I had mentioned earlier. All right, so here, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add my cream. So it's 1 teaspoon per egg, all right, is the rule, 1 teaspoon per egg. So here, I'm gonna come in. That's a little more. If you go a little heavier, it's really okay. It's just gonna make it a little bit creamier. All right, so I'm just going to take that and kind of just swish that around just a little bit, coat the bottom. Can even add just a touch of salt. I mean, a touch. All right, so at this point now, you can see the water that's coming out of there. Press that down just a little more, get all that water out. You can see there's quite a bit of water that cooks out of that. And if you didn't get this out now, when you bake the egg, all that water is going to be in there and it's going to just change the consistency, and we don't want that. All right, so that's like that. You can see it really is quite a bit of water that we're getting out of there. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of place my spinach evenly in the pan, in my ramekin. All right, spread that out a little bit. Okay. Now, just as we did before with the other one, I'm going to put a sprinkling of cheese over the top. Because when I take that forkful or that spoonful, I really do want to try and get all of the flavors in each bite. All right, now at this point, this one we're going to go with 2 eggs. I'm going to bring it over here so kind of keep it from reaching in for you guys. Go ahead and pour that in. You do want to try and keep them on either side, but we can fix that, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Coming over here. All right, so what I want to do here is I'm just going to use a spoon to kind of coax the yolk back to the other side. All right, try and even it out as best. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. Leave that there for now. Now I'm going to come back in a little salt, a little pepper, and just a little more cheese over the top. And again, it's up to you how much. It's up to you what your preference is in terms of flavors. Maybe you want to use a different cheese. You want to go with a Gruyere, or maybe you want to use a little goat cheese and kind of put a little pieces of goat cheese, which will add a little creaminess to it. All of that would be fine. All right, so at this point now, both of these are ready to go in the oven. So let's talk quickly about our oven. So we've got our oven set to about 350 degrees. If you go online and look up recipes for this, you're going to find some that say 325. You're going to find some that say 375, 350 for roughly 13 to 15 minutes seems to work best for me. I'm going to put these on the middle rack in my oven. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer. And we're going to check this as it's going. And we're going to place this right in our oven. Now, what we're looking for is we're looking for the white to set up around the outside, but for the yolk to still be runny. So almost like the fried egg where the white sets up and then you can still break into that yolk and get that really creamy yolk. Now, if you don't like that creamy yolk center, you can cook it longer. Again, there's no right or wrong way. There's just the way you like to do it. All right, so now, while that's in the oven, we're going to go ahead and prepare the next one. So this next one that we do, we're going to use 5 eggs. All right, and this particular version that we're going to make would be something that we would serve to a few people, right? So this could be almost like for 2 people. If you wanted to do like a nice brunch item, do an egg bake for 2 or a shirred egg for 2. All right, this would be the kind of pan you'd want to use. So this time we're going to do 5 eggs. So I need 5 teaspoons, right? So I'm going to go 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons. Go ahead and pour that. That's a half tablespoon. And we're just going to do that plus a little extra. Okay. So we've got our cream. Again, just going to kind of make sure that this is fully coated on the bottom. I'm only going to add a little bit of salt with this one because this particular one we're going bacon, egg, and cheese version, right? So if we're using bacon, bacon's salty, right? So you want to then adjust the amount of salt that you're using in the eggs because you're going to pick up a lot of salt off of the smoky bacon. All right, so cream is in. Now my bacon here, okay, you can do this a lot of different ways. You can do whole strips of bacon if you wanted to. I prefer to cut it, and you can see here, this was cut in really thin match strips, or matchsticks rather, and then sauteed off or fried off in advance. And the reason why I like to do the smaller pieces like this is so that when you take that forkful of egg, you can really get a little bit of bacon in each bite. You're not having to break up larger pieces while you're eating. All right, so there's our bacon. Again, just a little bit of cheese on the bottom. So again, you're getting on both bites, on top and bottom. And we'll add much more to the top when we're done. All right, so this one's going to be 5 eggs. I'm going to bring over my sheet pan. And the reason we put this on the sheet pan, the reason why we put the other ramekins on the sheet pan before going into the oven is because it's just easier to handle, right? It's just easier taking it in and out of the oven. Rather than having to try and grab these smaller handles with the towels, the towel slip here, you have a pan, it's easier to kind of pull in and out. Plus, trying to put the smaller ones with the racks, you want to make sure that they're on something that's more sturdy. All right? So here again, let's get this out of the way. Try and work neat. Got a lot of things going on here. Want to work neat and clean. All right. 1. 2. Ooh, we got a bleeder. All right, that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just grab a container to put that in. Sometimes you go from a little too high. That will happen. We're not going to throw that egg away, right? That's still money, and that's still something that we can use in a scrambled egg later on. So we're just going to put that into a container, put that into the refrigerator. And grab another egg. Not a big deal. There's 3. be a little bit more gentle there. Our fourth, and then our fifth egg right there. So you got all 5 eggs in the pan. On our ramekin. Quick wash on the hands. 20 seconds. Happy birthday twice. Happy birthday to anybody whose birthday it is today. I've had 3 December birthdays in the last 2 days, very early on. So happy birthday to you guys. Shout out. Those of you who know who you are. You got emails from me. All right, so as we did before, just kind of want to even out the yolk distribution a little bit. Actually, that's pretty good. I'm okay with that there. All right, so just a touch more salt over the top. Remember, salt is your friend until you use too much. Okay, salt will brighten the flavors, will add really, really nice taste and flavor. Little pepper. And now we're going to come back in. Little cheese. Sprinkle that cheese right over the top. And now this is ready to go into the oven as well. What we'll do while we put this one in the oven is we'll take a peek at the other one and see where we're at. All right, so this still has about 7 or 8 minutes left to go on it, but you can start to see is it is starting to set up around the outsides. Does still need time, so we're going to go put that back in so it doesn't get too bothered. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the origins of this particular dish. So get a little clean up here real quick. And I'm going to bring in a buddy of mine here to talk a little bit about œufs en cocotte. Okay, so shirred eggs get their origins from France, okay? And œufs, which is eggs, and cocotte. And cocotte is the dish, the ramekin. So it literally translates to eggs in the ramekin. Now, when this dish got to England, it changed to shirred eggs. And the reason why it changed to shirred is because they call the dishes, or the glass dishes that they used, shirrers, which is where the name comes from. That's where the name shirred egg comes from. That's just a little bit of trivia. Might show up on as a question somewhere. Hope you were paying attention. All right, so œufs en cocotte becomes the shirred egg. Ramekin, beautiful. Now, while this is baking, we'll talk just a little bit about, again, variations, right? So you can literally do this however you want. If you're really simple and you just want to have just the egg by itself, ramekin, egg, done. That's it. A little bit of cream, a little salt, pepper, nothing else needed. But then you get into being more creative, you get into adding more flavor, and you can literally do just about anything you want. Be creative with it. You can change it up for different cultural reasons. If you want to add more cultural flavors and seasonings, absolutely fine. We'll talk a bit at the end about actually serving. You can use a little hot sauce on it if you want to, if you like that kind of thing. If you're into spicier flavors, you want to add a little hot sauce at the end, you can do that as well. So really a lot of things you can do. Got about 5 or 6 minutes till the first ones start to come out of the oven. So we'll take a look at that in just a moment. All right, so we 13 minutes wasn't quite enough. We added another couple of minutes, but this just came out of the oven. All right, so here we see both of our varieties, our single egg, the ham, right, and the double with the spinach and the Parmesan cheese. So now we're going to talk a little bit about plating, right? Still have about 6 minutes remaining on the bigger version, okay? So talk about plating, right? So the single one, okay, just a small plate, just like that, perfectly fine. Maybe you want to do this as like a buffet item where you put multiple of these out where people can come and grab and take. Maybe you want to serve it just on the side. Just a little bit of parsley, right? A little eye candy, that little garnish on there. All right, and that's it. Very simple, okay? Now we'll just take a quick look here. All right, we'll kind of break in and there. Look at that lovely, look at that yolk, nice and runny. All right, And this is gonna have a really creamy, there's that ham. You kind of break into it there. All right, really, really nice. All right, we'll put this one off to the side for now. Now for this next one. Okay, so here's our 2-egg variety. So this one, I'm gonna put this onto a larger plate. All right, and now maybe I want to serve this as just a very light dinner item, right, or a light lunch. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to serve this one with a side salad. So I have some spring mix here, some greens, all right, which I'm going to serve to the side. I have a vinaigrette, which I put together just before, all right, so this is just a very simple vinaigrette right here, all right. I have some white vinegar. Right, a little white balsamic vinegar. We've got that canola and grapeseed oil like we used earlier. All right, and just combine. Now let's talk a little bit about flavor, right? So I've already got a little salt, a little pepper in there, but now I want to taste. And the best way to taste your dressing, right, if you're making a vinaigrette, is actually with the leaves that you're going to serve them on. If you taste them on a spoon, you'll get one flavor, but it's not necessarily the flavor that you're going to get when you're eating. So I have my leaf. I'm just going to dip the edge that I haven't touched into the dressing. That's really nice. Take my word for it. I'm going to come over here now, have my tongs. I'm going to drizzle a little bit of that dressing, not too much. And I don't want to do this too early. You never want to dress your greens too early, otherwise they wilt, right? They get too heavy and they break down. I'm going to add just a touch of salt and a little bit of parsley because I have it, right? It's going to add a little more freshness into that salad. And now for plating, I'm going to go ahead and put a glove on. Not that one. We want to try and build up just a little bit of height right on the back of that plate. All right, we kind of just build it up on top of itself. And there you go, right there. A nice $15.95 brunch dish. Maybe a little more, depends on where you are. All right, we're going to finish that off. We could serve it on the side like that. Let's finish it with just a touch of our parsley. And there you go. And place that down. Just like that, a beautiful little brunch dish, nice, simple, right? Not a whole lot of steps. And now the same thing once we come in here. All right, I'm going to break into that. Look at that creaminess right there. Really, really beautiful. Break in, you've got your spinach. So now once you take that spoon or that fork, look how creamy that is, right? Really, really nice. Mixed in with that spinach, really good flavor, really beautiful. Going to enjoy that in a few minutes. So now we have the last one, which is that 5-egg, right? The bacon, egg, and cheese variety. Which is almost there, just another couple of minutes. All right, so I've got a platter for that. And I've gone ahead and I've got some toast in the toaster right now. I'm going to go ahead and get a quick little set of cutting board up real quick. I'm going to place a towel down on the platter, and the reason for that is when we're going to put that hot plate down, that hot ramekin down on top of the platter, we want to make sure that, you know, it's not going to move around too much, kind of stabilize. All right, as soon as that comes out of the oven, we'll show you what that looks like. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and take the last one out of the oven. We're going to pull that out. I actually have, take a look at that one there. Really, really nice, really pretty. I actually have 2 pieces of toast working in the toaster right now. So we're gonna let that cool just for a second. Gonna go ahead and take that off of that and put it onto a cool surface. Right, will help to cool it down rather than staying on the hot pan. Toast is something you definitely want to serve. Some type of bread product, right, will definitely work out well. You know that I'm cooking in the kitchen right now because my dog Nola is standing here watching us. She wants to know when it's going to be her turn to eat. She should know better than that by now. All right, so just another second. So I'm going to go ahead at this point. I'm going to put this right on this platter. Get a little sprinkle that eye candy on there. And now last but not least, our toast. Definitely want to serve that with a little bit of butter. And I'm going to give you one little bonus on this video here. I'm going to go ahead and just lay out our toast. Now this here is your shirred eggs for two. You can serve that right at, again, nice little light dinner, lunch, brunch item for sure. You go ahead, place that on the table for two people. But let's go one last little bonus for you here. So I know a lot of you like to go to the deli and get that bacon, egg, and cheese. Well, essentially, that's what we've got here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of cut around. And again, you're going to see that really creamy yolk right there. Cut that out there. Serve that just like that. You can see that cheese, that bacon. And there you go. There's your fancy pinky up bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Very simple. Again, I definitely encourage you to try. I'll post some recipes. You can go online and look up some recipes as well. There's a lot of videos out there that you'll find. Play around with the flavors for sure. Love doing this for you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying these. Answer the questions. Hope you were paying attention. If you need to, go back because the answers will be there. And then we'll see you with the next video. All right, have a great day.